What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I am Alex, and I'm joined by a very good friend and a frequent guest on the channel as of right now, Steven from Craven Something Scary, an amazing content creator, one that, as we'll see through all this Scream stuff, I mean, he's on top of the game. He's got the sources and the insiders and the pictures all to prove it. So, Steven, thank you so much for being here yet again.
Well, thank you, Alex. My pleasure, man. I'm very happy to be here. It's always fun to talk Scream, man, with you. It's
For
always a
sure.
pleasure.
And I people what I notice in like the comments are based off likes and stuff. I mean, people tend to really gravitate towards specifically your and I discussions on this channel. So you're I think a wanted guest to kind of come back.
Nice.
And a lot has happened since the last time we talked. We tend to do these monthly. A lot's happened, and a lot kind of also hasn't happened. Like it's kind of almost gone to a halt because it's almost
hmm
over. But then also
Yep.
like a lot of behind the scenes pictures of Easter eggs, but nothing too monumental, right? I would argue.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I guess what I want to kind of center this video on, or it's like a podcast. We're going to go on tangents, but the way that people, like the human beings, the actors, are going in and out. Do you read anything into that? We were talking, off camera before. You got
hmm
Courtney gone. It seems like Jasmine's done, right? Because she's got the change of hair, unless
Yeah, it
that's a
seems like
tease that
it.
she's going to get killed. So you
Right.
have all, you know what I mean? You have all these characters leaving, but still Jenna and Melissa are there. Jenna
hmm
looks like she did 2 months ago.
Yep.
So what do you think like the plan has been and like what they're doing now?
Well, I think that first of all, they're filming the movie out of sequence, right? So they're
Yeah.
not they're it's that's why we have to be real careful. Like I had a lot of people that will message me and say, "Oh, now that not Nev, oh, I wish. Now that Courtney, it's still
We'll
hard to
get
say
there.
not. We'll get there one day. Uh, now that Courtney's announced she's off the movie, does that mean she's gonna die? I'm like,
Right.
well, first of all, you can't. The timing of all this, she could have filmed that video in June,
Right.
and I mean, literally in June from her house, and sent it to them and had them do the editing.
Yep.
So that may not even be actually happening now. So you can't trust any of that stuff. It's marketing stuff.
Right.
So I think what we're seeing here, Alex, really is more than likely just scenes that, again, out of order, scenes that they're filming with them. This could be stuff from the early part of the film, middle part, and it could also be some reshoots of stuff. Maybe
Yeah.
they sent them off and they got through looking through the dailies and they're like, you know what? We need to reshoot this again, tighten this thing up a little bit more.
Right.
And guess what? They're back. They
Yep.
left, now they're back. So I don't read it into this too much. I really
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
been and I was actually kind of thinking that too, where it's like, obviously reshoots exist and you will and I'm sure they will go back, some of them to do it in a few months. But it's
hmm
like, yeah, based off of and I really do like kind of zero in on Jenna because it
Yeah.
is the same so it's like, yeah, who's to say maybe they're not saying, well, we're here, you're here, let's just
Yeah.
get these shots, we're gonna call you back in a few months, let's get them done now.
Yep.
That's kind of what I would grasp from some of it. And then, like you said, out of sequence, the thing that I gravitate to beyond it just being out of sequence is or I guess the one that you can kind of look into is like who's the most important in this movie, who's in it a lot.
hmm
Like Melissa
True.
has been there, what I mean, from the
Yep.
beginning. So, and I think we said this along, like for anybody that thought maybe she could die early on and it would get passed to Hayden or like that's impossible because she's
Yeah.
just been there the entirety, like the
Yeah.
longest of anybody, besides I guess maybe Jenna with her. Which, well,
Yep.
let me ask you about that. Do you feel like kind of confident in the fact that those two are basically glued together? That means I would imagine Tara has a lot in this movie.
I do agree. Yeah, it seems like they're going to have a lot, and I'm at the point where I expect them, and I've always really said this. I think they're going to carry the two of them through the trilogy. I don't think
Yeah.
Sam and Tara are dying. I don't know. Even in seven, I don't think they're going to die. But let's wait and see this for this
Yeah.
movie first, obviously. But I don't think they're going to die. No, Alex. I think they're going to both survive the film. So I do believe they're trying to get you know, and I don't know how much Nev's not being there is going to influence this. Maybe they even bulked it up more, maybe.
Right.
But I think that they're definitely committed to Sam and Tara.
Yeah.
The Radio Silence and James and Guy, and they've, for whatever reason, well, like, obviously that reason is they believe that they've got the right person. They're kind of hedging their bets. They're pushing their chips in
Yeah.
on Sam and Tara, and that's fine. That's their call. Someone has to take it over, I guess.
Right.
But especially
Well,
since they won't pay Nev.
yeah.
Uh,
And it's kind of what we've
but
been saying though. It's a risk because
yeah,
Sam doesn't. But you also need to do it. Like it's actually a
yeah,
risk you must to do. You have to
right.
give Sam another chance, and Tara
You do.
needs to be elevated more. Like they're,
Yes.
you know what I mean? They're stuck in a good way where it's like that's organically what you should do, but you run the
Hmm.
risk that if this fails, it's all
Yeah.
on them. You know what I mean? So that's a potential issue, but we'll see.
Yeah. And who knows, man? Maybe Sam, the character of Sam, maybe Melissa is like comes out of her shell, and whether it was medication or whatever, because
Yeah.
the rumor I'm hearing, you probably heard it too,
Yeah.
is that she's on new meds.
Yeah, that
So
one's
she's not
interesting, huh?
seeing, it is interesting, she's not seeing Billy anymore,
Yep.
no hallucinations. And so maybe the new medication does not affect her personality like
Yeah.
the ones from 5. I would be thrilled if she's like, just really engaging and really opens up, and
Yeah.
like more like a Jenna type,
Yeah.
like
Well,
Tara, more like
to
that.
that, and it's a rumor, but to
Mhm.
that rumor, which I saw as well, and I thought that rumor was pretty sweet. So the rumor is that she's on a different med, and but it does something else to her. And somebody said blackout, and then they said you're close, like you're very close. What do you think? Because we've always talked about, in fact, it lines up right with some of the theories we've discussed of like, is it almost possible to make it so she forgets she even did it? Almost like a Moon Knight thing and how
Oh,
they didn't. Not like
yeah.
Blackout is very close to that. And so if it's not black, so and but again, like if you want to keep her to 7, you can't make her. I'd imagine you can't make her Ghostface unless you do something really wild. And she is Ghostface, and the blackouts, she kills people in the black. I mean, it's a stretch. You'd be stretching a lot. You know what I mean? But what do you think?
Yeah.
Did you see that part? Like, what do you think the new issue she's going to have because of those meds are?
What I think they might try to do is do this thing where they're going to make her a red herring.
Okay,
Maybe she
like she
blacks out.
disappears or she doesn't remember
Yeah.
certain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
But Ghostface strikes.
Right.
She's not around.
Yeah.
And then she wakes up somewhere, whatever, and
Yeah.
she's like, I don't remember what
Right.
happened. Where were you, Sam? We were waiting for you. I
Right.
don't know. I guess it was my medication. So
Right.
then you have this whole red herring
Yeah.
thing. And of course, I won't buy it. I know it's not going to be Sam, but I could see him trying to fool the audience and
Yeah.
go that route. Yeah.
Somewhat I mean, that's not that bad, and it's I mean, it's been done. I mean, it's really been done. That's a
It
cliche kind
has.
of thing, but now the big bold thing would to be like they actually go all the way, and like
Yeah, it would.
she actually is Ghostface during that time.
Ooh, dude.
It would be wild. But speaking of potential ghost faces, I want to ask you about Samara and Tony and stuff. So, the back and forth rumors of like maybe they're playing stab.
Yep.
What do after seeing all these pictures, what do you think? Who are they playing?
Okay, so Samara, I believe that she's either going to be a stab character, or she's going to be a rival reporter,
Okay.
and she's dressing up like Gail.
Yeah.
She's emulating her, and she's the Debbie Salt
Yeah.
of Scream 2, who was always hanging around, get with the mic, trying to get the scoop.
Right.
And I could see that Samara and her could have some really cool lines
Yeah.
and kind of like facing off against each other.
Yeah.
And then again, what does that mean for Samara's character? Is she a red herring?
Right.
Because the first thing we're all gonna be thinking of, oh, that's Debbie Salt. That's
Right.
the Debbie Salt character. She'll be a crazy psycho killer at the end.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. It doesn't seem like she's. I don't know how much time she's actually been filming
Yeah.
for sure.
We also don't
So
know how much crossover her and Courtney have had because
nope.
again, like you said, I mean, there's a lot of things we don't know, and they could have gone to the sound stages, but it seems like the time that she went on and then Courtney left was a very short time that they overlap. You know what I mean? Like if you literally just look at point blank, they may not have actually been together almost at all. So that would be tough. But and I've seen the stat. What do you? So my idea with the stab thing is I just don't. I feel like that's a waste of her character because stab has always been played like on the backdrop, and like there's things happening and stabs happening behind them. I just feel like that's a waste of her, Samara. But do you think the same thing or?
Yeah, I agree. If it's just her really being on the play, I mean, if they're gonna go that route, man, for me, because she's such a powerhouse, I
Yeah,
think she's a powerhouse actor and really talented, final girl material, like all the way. Not that she's gonna be one in this movie. Because I don't
right.
think she will be. But unfortunately, could you imagine? Again, could you imagine her in the role of Sam? Her and
Which one?
Jenna
I
Ortega.
I don't wanna say it,
Ooh,
but
oh, I'm sorry. I just had to dream a little dream. Okay, but here's the thing. We've got Samara. I'm happy. I'm not going to complain, whatever her role is.
yeah,
But I'm with you. I want to see her engaging more. I want to see her really intricately in this story.
yeah,
And I don't know how much she'll be involved with Sam, Tara, Mindy, and Chad, and the core four, and these new characters that are going to be in that friend circle.
yeah,
I'm assuming of Tara again, probably. But I hope that they are able to make her where she's not the opening kill, which is what I originally predicted she
right.
would
Me
be.
too, me too.
Yeah, it's this kind of made the most sense. But I still, the more I see her there, I keep thinking, man, maybe she's not the opening kill now.
Right.
Maybe they're gonna, maybe they'll
Yeah, I
bring
feel like
her
she
along.
has been on set probably too long to be just an opening scene kinda thing at this
Yeah,
point. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, me too. I'm thinking more CC Cooper,
yeah,
get to the closer to the middle of the movie.
right.
But here's what Alex, look, I don't care. Make her a killer. I want to see her take that mask off and just be just insane.
Yeah, but
But
do you think it'd be too I mean, that's the age-old thing, it's the thing we all talked about, like,
yeah,
it's right there for them to do it, and it does make sense, but at the same time, like, it's just so obvious.
it
And, like,
is.
and it's a whodunit film, and it's the tough part with modern day and technology, you know what I mean? Where it's
Yeah,
like, you can talk about this stuff, it just seems way too obvious to go in and heavily assume it's her, and then it ends up being her, and it's like that I feel
yeah,
like that does
true.
actually, specifically for the diehards, it does take away from the experience, at least a little. I mean, that's what it
It
did,
does.
I would say, an okay amount with Richie and Amber, where it's like, you hope it's not them, you almost
Hmm.
try to convince yourself it's gonna be somebody else, but you know it's probably them, and then it is, and it's like, well, that does bring it down a little. I mean, just factually, it does.
It does, man. I'm with you. Having her be what appears to be anyway, an
Yeah,
obvious killer, and then having her get gutted or killed
yeah,
from behind, like from Ghostface, that would be awesome.
right,
So I really hope she's not a killer. If she's not the opening kill, I want her to be there. And but I would love to see her be the big red herring of this movie, even more
yeah,
so than Sam. But I would love to see, because you're right, we're all going to think it's her.
yeah,
We're going to say, oh, there it is. She's the killer, and then boom, third act, she
right,
gets killed
yep.
and had no part of the killings.
Which
That
is
would
a
be great.
little what I think they were almost trying to do with Liv. I think Liv was kind of the same thing, where it's like,
Mm,
she hangs around enough where she can be, and then it's a drop of the dime. It's actually very, if they did
yeah,
it somewhat close, and then Samara is just because of the name. I think there's just more
yeah,
because, like, Liv again, it's like, well, I kind of want it to be Liv just so it's not Amber, just so that I'm not right and I don't know this.
exactly.
You know what I mean? Going
I
in,
do.
and with Samara though, there's more kind of like natural thought that it could be her just off the jump versus Liv. But
Yeah, true.
pivoting slightly, I want to get your take on Halloween, on the not the
Yeah.
movie franchise, although we could, but the set stuff. So long rumored, right? Long rumored, even dating back to arguably the first week or two of the movie, is that at some point this would be taking place over Halloween. The rumor from the same guy who goes through all these rumors is that it takes place throughout like all of October. So what do you think of the inclusion of Halloween? But more specifically, I want to ask, like, do you think Halloween night factors in like big, or I'm like, does anything massive take place at the core of Halloween, or does it happen and pass and the rest of it's in November? Like, how do you think they'll do it?
Mm. Well, I've heard again, these, rumors, like you say, we got to take with
Yeah.
a grain of salt. I
Yeah.
don't, but I've heard it films from like early September or mid-September to like
Yeah.
early November,
Right.
something like that. So if that's true, then how they're gonna they have to do something on Halloween.
Right.
I mean, it just they have to.
Yeah.
And with seeing costumes and jack o' this is the opportunity to do something really, really cool. We've never had a Scream movie happen
Yeah.
on Halloween. That's
Right.
never happened, dude.
Yep.
So I will say this, man. It'll be a huge missed opportunity if there's not a Halloween party
Yeah.
and bloodshed.
Yep.
It's got to Ghostface has to attack at a party.
Right.
You know,
I
that
mean,
would be amazing.
again, it writes itself up. You have to imagine there's gonna because it's a mythos, in the universe where people know of the costume and stuff. So you have to imagine there's gonna be copycat costumes. There could be more than
Yeah.
one. So it does write it. Yeah. The thing that I guess and the reason I structured it and then you finished it with the November thing. That's what I was kind of getting at. What's odd, right, is like if it ends in the beginning of November, if that's true, and really there's no reason to doubt it because they were saying that before we were pretty, confident of Halloween like then the final act would be in November. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
then the final act is not on Halloween, which would be like maybe the middle of the movie or maybe slightly after the middle. But like you said, I
Yep.
mean some sort of party where a couple people that maybe were red herrings until then they get taken out and then we fast forward a few days to the Well, let me ask you this because we just danced around it. I don't think we've ever talked about this. What do you feel about the general idea of skipping so much time because like the idea of Ghostface, right, is that and I don't really know how to feel about it. That's why I'm asking you. Like
Yeah.
Ghostface gets away with it believably because it all happens in such short span. There's not like a
Hmm.
detective, I mean, they're not the FBI is not looking
True.
for months. So when you take place over arguably, let's just say 6 weeks just to be safe,
Okay.
how do you like do you like that? Do you think it makes it less believable that a killer is able to get away with it over now months instead of one night? Most of these movies are one night or
Yeah.
close.
Or close to
And
it.
they
Right.
and that's why they don't get caught immediately is because it's happening too fast. But if you're killing
Hmm.
people over weeks, shouldn't you get caught? You know what I mean? Like I like the idea of skipping time, but you run into that issue of believability that the person would be able to do it for this long.
Well, one reason why I think they could pull it off in this movie, unlike most of the previous films,
Yeah.
is that they're in New York City and not Woodsboro.
Okay.
Because if you're in Woodsboro,
Yeah.
come on, man. Really, the pool of suspects is so small.
Right.
But with being in New York, I could see things moving slower, a
Yeah.
little slower in general, and because they're so busy, it's
Right.
stuff. But obviously, murder's priority. But I'm just saying, I think that there's a lot more potential for um, suspects
Yeah.
that could be involved. That might help me at least accept it taking that long. However, I do want to see investigating, like real investigating,
Yeah.
like actual crime scene. Dermot coming in with his
Yeah.
detectives.
But do you think that's almost why they like it seems like that's going to happen because of the
Hmm.
and we've also talked
Yeah.
about it. What if it's him kind of hiding his own tracks or hiding somebody he
Right.
cares about that's killed? I mean, that does tie in with like, you show the investigation scene, it's taking place over so much time, but you're focusing on the cop aspect because they're almost burying it on purpose.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
does help it, like you said. And being in New
Yeah.
and that's a good point because in New York, it's not like we look at it as okay, the suspects are the cast. But in real life, well, it's not just the cast, it's anybody. It's anybody at
Hmm.
that college. It's anybody in this
Exactly.
apartment block, which is hundred. So I actually never thought about it like that. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, it's a big city. It's a
Yeah.
lot of people.
So what you're
So
saying is it's easier to get away with murder in a big city versus a small one. Is
I
that your
I
advice or?
think that's if I had to give advice on it, yes, I think that would be my strategy.
Wow. Well, pivoting back from Halloween and going to more of like the replica of two, and I've talked about this before. I'm sure you the whole when Hayden was on set and she was
Yep.
going through the very reminiscent of Scream 2. I want to get your thoughts on that because we haven't talked in a while. So what do you think? And there was even like a van spotted. Do you think they'd be so crazy to replicate in some way Randy?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think they can't be that on the nose with it.
Yeah.
I think that's now they may kill Kirby or Mindy, and Mindy is the one you think will be dead because Randy died in the
Right.
second one,
Yeah.
and now she's the new Randy. So, but Kirby's a curve, not a curveball, a curb ball. Oh yes, love the cheese. Um, so because we don't know what's going to happen with her. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're going to kill her or not, and if they are, when in the
Right.
story. So, but as far as actually replicating the van scene, I
Yeah.
don't. I'm gonna say no, please no,
Yeah.
because if they really copy that, that's just lazy. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I call it that would be the word, the laziness.
Yeah,
What
it's
do you think of the general idea? I'm kind of warming up to it, even though because I still think killing Mindy is also too on the nose because of Randy.
yeah,
However, I could be
yeah,
like I feel like I could be talked down from that cliff of anger.
yeah.
I'm still against it, but also as time has moved on and like the thing is, again, you go back to who's been there the longest and stuff. Like we don't really
True.
know how long Jasmine and Mason like have we don't know. Mindy and Chad may really not be in the movie all that much, and Mindy realistically could have been killed. Like she could have left because
Mhm.
she died. Like that easily could have
Yep.
happened. So I
Yep.
guess where are you since we last like where are you on your thoughts about Mindy making it out? Do you think I was always Chad should die or he will die and Mindy would
Mhm.
survive? I feel like it's going in reverse.
I think you're right. Because I was always about Chad dying too. That was my
Yeah.
position for months. But
Yeah.
I really, first of all, I want to say this. I do firmly believe one of the twins is going to die. That's
Okay.
just lock it in.
Yeah.
One of them for sure. So you
Yeah.
got a 50-50 shot, man. Uh, I think Mindy would be the more shocking kill.
Yeah.
If you're going to go for shock value, I think, because you know, as far as the core four goes, Mindy seems to be pretty popular in the fandom.
Yeah.
I mean, I ran polls, but I will tell you one other thing. I ran a poll not too long ago saying, who would you want to see die in Scream 6,
Yeah.
Mindy or Kirby?
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm interested to see what this is going to be.
Yeah.
And it was Kirby surviving. Who would you want to see survive more, Kirby or
Okay.
Mindy?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I said it. It was Kirby in a landslide.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't even, it was like 75, 78%.
Yeah.
It was not even a contest. I think Mindy got maybe 20% of the vote.
Right. I
So
think it's
that
like
tells me the
the
fandom wants Kirby to live, Mindy
yeah.
to die, if you had to pick between those two.
Right. I think the recency bias is kind of the, and I've picked on some of the like the Twitter fandom of Scream before. Like the recency bias, I think helps Mindy because
Yeah,
I do think out of like Chad and her, she's more well liked. I would
I do
even
too.
you could argue to me Mindy over Sam. I don't know for sure, and I would Tara's always been my favorite, but
Yeah.
and that's been so strong like on social media. But yeah, when you introduce Hayden back and Kirby back,
Ooh,
the argument really starts to shift of, well, no, she's a much better character. Like we like her a lot.
right.
And it's not the fault of the actresses, and I think our audiences get it. It's really the outside people that don't get it.
Right.
But I mean, like, but I think
Yeah.
when you introduce Kirby, it comes back to, oh, we have to talk about non-5 characters. Well, Kirby is much better, like much better than most of the characters in 5. Period. Period.
Agreed.
What I mean? So when
Agreed.
you start to do that, then you're like, oh shoot, well, Mindy becomes definitely more expendable because
Yeah.
you would easily take Kirby over her. I could see that from a mass population, including myself. I would do the same thing.
Yeah,
It's
man.
just it's like you said, it depends on how they play it because like how much is Kirby in it, and how much does she
True.
even come back? Like who is she?
That's the
Like
thing.
we didn't. That was kind of a discussion too, and I do have confidence in this. Unlike most, when you bring back characters and you assassinate them, the character assassinations, I have
Yeah.
more faith with Kirby because she's like their favorite, right? Or like top. So I feel like they're
Hmm.
gonna honor her. Because what I don't want Kirby to do is come back and be not Kirby. Because I thought we wanted Kirby back, not Hayden playing some other. You know what I mean?
I
Is that a
do.
worry you've ever had? Do you think Kirby will be now? Obviously, like she's lived life and she's almost
Yeah.
died. So like
Right.
there is going to be growth. But have you ever been worried about like if they would just massively change her character? Do you think she's going to be the same? Like, you know what I
Mm.
mean?
Yeah, man. That's a really good question. I personally think she's going to be different. I do think she's going to be different. I've thought about this, man, because think about all of the not only just growing up, like you mentioned, because that's 2011. We're what's that, 11 years? Yeah, 11 years. So
Yeah.
she's like 29 ish
Right.
years old. She's pushing 30, so she's not a kid. Back at 17, 18 again, or 17 probably. You're gonna grow there, but also the trauma she went through, man. That's the thing. What all of
Yeah.
that she went through with four, the stabbing, the manipulation, the whole thing. Her best friend was Jill.
Right.
completely manipulated all the, and then the stabbing. So I think that has to, and in real life it does change people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's the thing, Alex. If everyone, and I've mentioned this on one of my streams recently, I'm
Yeah.
like, everyone, please prepare yourself now
Yeah.
for a modified Kirby.
Yeah.
Because if we go in there and we are expecting that 17-year-old Kirby
Right.
in Scream 4,
Right.
we're all going to be like, what happened to her?
Right.
So I really believe that if they're going to make it authentic now,
Yeah.
and they're going to try to make it more real, keeping it real, so to
Yeah.
speak, they're going to have her have issues on to some degree,
Right.
and she may
Which
not be
I'm
as,
okay,
you know,
and I'm fine, and I would expect that kind of stuff. I guess
right,
where I would draw the line, and I get it. I mean, personality wise, well, I've never gone through it. I mean, maybe I'd have to do an experiment on myself to try it,
right,
but I can imagine like even making the argument to me that you would change dramatically. You may literally not be. I could
hmm
buy that.
yeah,
However, it's a movie and these are
exactly,
characters and you're bringing back a character people like. I feel like she has to have some of, you know what I mean? Some of the
I do,
personality. So trivia, so, and it could
yeah,
easy as that. As long as she's smart, self-aware, like whatever it is, as long as she still has part of that in her character. And that
hmm
that really rests on Hayden and then the writers, because she's got to kind of bring that
yes,
spirit back from over a decade ago, and then they have to bring the writing back. As long as they can do that, she can be transformed all she wants, and I'll buy it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's
yeah,
just I draw the line if she's just a literal different character, and it's like, well, this is
right,
not. I thought you were bringing Kirby back. You know what I mean?
totally. I'm with you, man. And I can even see her being kind of like, you know, standoffish about wanting to talk about horror movies, and then there's something
Yeah.
happens. Like maybe at first she's very reluctant to be her old self, enter
Yep.
that world,
Yep.
and then maybe she's in the room with everyone, and then Mindy starts to say something, and all of a sudden Kirby's like, "Oh, no, 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 hold on a minute," and then like it
Yeah.
starts
I
to
could see
come,
that, man.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It starts to come out of her.
Right.
Like that can't be the case because this, John Carpenter did this scene because of this or something, you know what I mean? And then all
Right.
of a sudden
Yeah.
adrenaline is all comes back, and she has that. And let's be honest, we've got to have just one scene at least where Mindy and Kirby
Oh yeah.
just are at it, like
Yeah.
heavyweight round of movie trivia,
Yeah.
and we got to see that, right?
Oh
Come
yeah,
on,
I would take that and even Sam, Tara, or Gail like interrupting them, like to stop. And
yeah,
it writes itself. It if they didn't do it, but you know what? They also brought back the core three in Dewey, and they didn't have them all three
it's
together.
true, man.
So it's almost like and Star Wars obviously did the same thing with the three of
Same
them never
thing.
met. Like there's such easy things that you can imagine as a fan, and it is, I guess, in a way, fan service. Like Mindy and Kirby
Yeah,
having a battle is but fan
it
service
is.
is good sometimes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's good. I'm not saying it as a negative. I'm
Exactly.
actually in support of fan service. That's why you make movies, is for us,
Well, that's what I
ultimately for
thought
people to
too.
watch. Yeah,
I mean, what did James Jude Courtney say just last week or 2 weeks ago at the Oklahoma City Horror Con? He's like, "We're doing this for the fans.
yeah,
This is why we're doing this." He says, "We're here. We're trying to honor the fans."
right,
And so that's, I mean, because we're the ones buying the tickets and
yeah,
talking about it and
right,
promoting it. So fan service is not a bad negative thing, and so many people
yeah.
seem to just jump on that like it's rabies or something. I'm like, dude, it's not. It's, it inherently is not bad.
Right.
It's only bad if you do well. All right, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to pick a little bit on one movie that I like a lot.
Go on.
It's controversial. All right, it's a little bit volatile. It's Halloween Kills.
Huh.
Now I like Halloween Kills. I enjoy it. I like every time I watch it, I enjoy it more.
Yeah,
But there's some fan service in there that really didn't serve a purpose other
yeah,
than strictly
yeah,
fan service. And I'm gonna give you an example. It's Sheriff Brackett, or yeah, Brackett, the original sheriff from '78.
yeah,
This sweet little old man is in a security guard at the hospital now,
yeah.
and then he goes out there and he's at the street mob, and he gets his one line in.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Well, It's Halloween. Everybody's entitled to one good scare. And that's he got his line out, and I did. I clapped. I'm like, "Yay!" And then then they immediately slaughter him. Michael immediately slaughters the guy, and he's
Yeah.
dead. Now, see
Yeah.
that to me, he didn't move the plot forward. He didn't add story content.
Right.
It was just fan service. That's pure fan service, Alex.
Right.
But with Kirby, you can have fan service that contributes to the story
Oh yeah.
and contributes to the movement of the plot.
Yep. I'm right
And
there
that's
with you.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, fan service for the sake of fan service is the thing you don't want to do. But if you're
Yes.
doing something that is beneficial to your film in any way, and it just so happens to also please people, that
Yeah.
is actually a good thing.
That is
Contrary to Twitter, it's
that's
actually
right.
a really good thing to do. Well, let me get your final. I want to kind of put like a blanket over this.
Okay.
So we're at the end. I mean, we're definitely gonna, we're lifelong collaborators
Oh,
here,
heck
but
yeah, bro.
in terms of the filming and stuff, like by the next time we do this, they should be done. So what are you feeling? Like we've gone through an arc. Nev has gone through an arc. Like what
Yeah.
do you think about the movie? You more excited now than I would say, besides Nev, which I think has just been one of the most poorly executed, no matter which way it goes. I don't care if she's in
Yeah.
it or not. It's been the one of the worst things you could ever imagine happening. From
Yep.
and it destroys it. The fandom has attacked each other. Like everything is so bad.
It's so
But
bad.
beyond that, I am generally I am genuine too. More excited now than I was at
Mhm.
early June. So
Mhm.
where are you?
I'm with you. I am. I really am. I am more excited now. These one thing about these set pictures is that they're showing me at least. I feel like they really are trying to be different. We're
Yeah,
seeing the subway entrances on the street and
yeah,
and the university, just things that show like they're trying to be different, even though it seems like they may also try to be
yeah,
the same, or
yeah.
maybe to an extent with Scream 2. And by the way, I'll just throw this in as a bonus point. Chris was from Discover Montreal was telling me he was down there when they were at Le National, the theater,
Yeah.
watching the crew unload stuff. And he saw them bring out a large vat of fake blood, just big old
Oh,
bucket
oh
of
boy.
fake blood. So I can tell you this, I don't know if it's going to be in the beginning, at the
Yeah.
end, or in the middle, but someone is probably dying in that theater, or at least getting attacked because they had a big old thing of blood. So
Yeah.
there's going to be something going on in that theater that's not going to be good. But that's a bonus for you. But overall, man, I am more excited. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm staying optimistic
Yeah.
and hopeful that we get chase scenes, subway scenes, we get high-rise tower scenes, we get all this stuff, alleyways, and just the
Yeah.
potential there is incredible.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say cash in on that potential, make it a
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah, and there's nothing inherently wrong with being a somewhat uneven movie. Like if there's MBS5
Yeah.
had its strengths, like
Yeah.
you cling on to the strengths. So if there are
Right.
some incredible, and I think we've all said this, if there's some incredible things that we've never seen before, and
Mhm.
they're good, well that's a
Right.
bonus. But also if you even match that with there's incredible things that are different and they're great. Well, there can also be some things that are just like wild decisions that maybe we don't agree with or like, or we don't even
Right.
like them, but we can understand. Like there's
Mhm.
still that where it's like, all right, you did it. You gave it your
True.
touch. You messed up some stuff and you did some, but at least you didn't copy Scream 2, which I
No.
think is kind of universally accepted that they shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
I think we've always from the very first day said that like do some
Yeah.
crazy stuff, and if we don't agree or we don't even like it, that's okay.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean I'm not
Totally.
going to say I don't like it. I will definitely say I don't like it, but
Yeah.
I hope I would always preface it by saying, "Hey, I respect the heck out of them for at
That's
least
right.
trying it."
Just show me you're going to swing. If you miss,
Yeah.
you miss, but you swung. You
Right.
tried. You went for it, man.
Yeah.
Rather than just bunting and laying the bat down and just walking to first base.
Right.
So, yeah, let's see it. Let's see him go for it. Let's see him swing for it. And whether it hits or not, we'll talk about that after when we see the movie.
Yeah.
But if we can have a conversation in April, and you and I get together and talk
Yeah.
about it, if we can say, man, they really tried to make this thing work in the subway. It just didn't land, but I'm so glad they tried it.
Yeah.
I will give them all the props in the world if they just try
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely. So, as always, guys, well, number one, make sure you are subscribed. I know we share a lot of our Scream fans are they literally jump from one to the next, but make sure you guys subscribe to Steven. The link's in the description if you guys want to
Appreciate
click
it.
that. And he's been covered, like I said. I mean, the knowledge that you have done, man. I mean, I've said this before, I guess, in these videos and even out. I mean, you've taken it over the summer. I mean, you become the guy. Now you've had help. You've
Oh,
had the people on the street, but in terms of the creators covering it, I really don't think, including myself, there's anybody even close to how good you've done.
oh,
Uh,
Alex, thank you, man. It's
yeah,
very,
I
very
really
kind
mean
of
that.
you.
So, and daily updates and all that stuff, and covering
Mhm.
things like Halloween that I will never touch. So, if you make sure, that you guys support him, I really do want you guys to. So, thank you, Steven, again
Thank
so
you.
much for watching. Well, I guess you are watching in a
I
way,
am
right?
watching you.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
the crowd at home, for watching this video, and we will see you all on the next one.